Hello and welcome to the Arsenal Therapy Preview Show. My name is Farhan, also known as Gunner since '96, and it gives me great pleasure to say we have Monty joining us this afternoon. Now, for some of you watching this thinking, what's going on here? Usually it's Adam who's hosting the show. Now we have to part with this weird-looking chap on our screens. Adam's away. He's got work commitments, so I've stepped in super sub time, and we're going to make it a super extraordinary show. I was just saying to Monty off air, Adam is great at doing these shows, these preview shows and the 15-minute shows. But this is the big one. You know, we've now arrived. Champions League final settings, right, Monty? How's it going, mate?
Yeah, good. Big game coming up. Super buzzing for it. And yeah, I mean, what a game as well that our opposition had over the weekend. So there's a lot to break down. I mean, I'm actually feeling all right about it. I thought it'd be a bit more stressed, but apart from that, I'm feeling good, man. How are you?
Very, very good. It's been a really good week of football, midweek football, courtesy of Amazon.com, Amazon Prime, I should say, or Prime Amazon, however you want to say it. They did so well, and I think we witnessed kind of the future of where football's headed, and the future of humanity. We're getting more lazier by the century or by the decade. It's like so easily accessible, right? All you have to do is just flick a few buttons, and then you get to move around with different games. So, good week of football. Good week of results for us as well as Arsenal fans. Arsenal winning that last gasp winner against Luton. Spurs dropping points. United getting one over on Chelsea. And City losing as well, more importantly, against the team that we're going to be facing next. A familiar face in Unai Emery, who has transformed Aston Villa into a side that looks like they could be challenging for a Champions League spot. So Newcastle 2.0 kind of vibes. Let's get into it. Let's have a chat first and foremost about Unai Emery and the work that he's done at Villa before we delve into looking at their results. He wasn't able to replicate that sort of or that the extent of that kind of impact at Arsenal. It was good for a little bit, but we struggled to really get a good style of play under him. And it's still, I mean, I don't know whether you want to blame it on personnel or whether it's a case that Unai Emery just never got a hold of the dressing room, but it certainly didn't work out for him in that way at Arsenal. In Villa, it seems like it's the opposite. Everything's clicking. He's getting the best out of his players. There is a style of play. It's attractive. He's getting his senior players like John McGinn to put in world-class performances on a weekly basis. So, yeah, give me your thoughts on Unai Emery and the impact that he's had on Villa so far.
Good evening. Unai Emery's been class. I mean, even when he was Arsenal's manager, I always rated him as a manager, as a tactician. It's just very, very well set up. He's very pragmatic. He can change a style up really quickly and sort of set up well to a team. I think Aston Villa is probably well suited for him compared to where we were at the time of when we had him. Saying that though, looking at the game, I do believe that we are well suited against them because when you come up to the City game, you could see what Unai Emery was trying to do, and it's actually why I fully bet on Aston Villa to beat City. Without Rodri, is that awful in the midfield. Like attacking, they're great, defending great, but that midfield they lose. And Unai Emery really saw that when the fullbacks come forward. Normally, you would have Rodri go across. He would go across and cover the thing, much like Xhaka did with Zinni last year, much like Partey did with Ben White, and much like Declan Rice does this year. They come in and they fill that gap while they run forward. Now, we saw constantly throughout that game, it was either Lucas Digne or John McGinn, one of them. It would get pinged over to him behind Walker. The second he came forward, they would then run forward. They would press. The second they saw him run forward, they'll press, take the ball, ping it straight behind Walker, and then it would either be Digne or John McGinn would do the German cross to Watkins, and they had so many opportunities to score. And I'm very surprised that it was only a 1-0 win in the end. And that's credit to Unai Emery. I mean, as a tactician, he saw that, isolated it, and was able to execute with the players he's got. I think there's a strong sense of belief in the team as well, that they're able to do that. Now, coming up to the weekend, I personally think we still have the quality to beat them. And that's purely because we've got Declan Rice, we've got Gabriel, we've got Saliba, we've got Havertz, who's aerially dominant, we've got Erdegaard, who's very tricky, and I compare them to their midfield, and we're just better. And it's no discredit to them. And it will be a tough game. I don't think we're going to go there and walk them over. No, by no means. I just don't think that they're going to dominate us like they dominated City at all. I think it'll be quite an even game. It can go either way, but with the way that we're playing as well. I mean, yes, Aston Villa have won 14 at home consecutively. We were the last to beat them. But we're consecutively winning away and home. It doesn't matter where we go. We're on a win streak ourselves. So it's going to be a really interesting game. It's going to be good to see Unai Emery. I was watching the post conference, the press conference of him after, and the good evening just hits every time. It has never. It would just be like good evening, yeah, and it still hits. I love it. So now it'll be a good game. I'm looking forward to it. What about you? Have you got any thoughts, or do you think there's anything to particularly look out for?
Well, before we kind of go into breaking down them as a squad, key players, key individuals to target, ways that they'll break us down, I wanted to have a look at their last 5 results, just to paint a picture of the form that they're on. And to do that, I'm going to have to pull up the right tab. So bear with me. Here we go. So you can see the screen, right?
I can.
Perfect. Okay, good. So the last result, Villa, Man City, that's the one that I want to be focusing on more so than the rest, because this was as you said, it was a huge, huge victory. I mean, look at the stats alone. They speak volume to the dominance in that game. 22 shots over 2. And this is staggering, because we haven't witnessed this kind of demise from Man City in a very, very long time. Haaland practically invisible, really, really struggling with his one-on-one duels. 7 shots on target, possession 46%, passes completed 436 over 520. And so we're just by looking at these stats, we're able to learn that Villa were just far more physically dominant, I guess, and City were just far too tentative. They were reluctant to push forward. They were reluctant to match the energy, which is really, really strange. I don't know what we can put that down to, but if we have a look at the starting lineup, again, this will give us a good idea of who will be starting against us on the weekend. Just quickly glossing over City's lineup, quite a strong lineup still. Edison at the back, Walker, Diaz, Gvardiol, who I think we're beginning to see some cracks in his game.
That midfield is trash. I'm just going to say it. Rico Lewis, John Stones, Akanji, nah.
Yeah.
No wonder they lost.
It's not working out. It's not working out for them. And obviously, injuries have been a problem, with De Bruyne out, who is the key in unlocking Haaland, really. But still they had Foden, they had Silva, they had Alvarez. If we look at their bench as well, Kovacic, Nunez. Okay, we'll skip Calvin Phillips because I think we're seeing the end of his career. Nathan Ake. So really, the bench not as strong as
Scott
we
Carlson
used to
still
see.
plays for them.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, problems. Everyone's having these injury problems. But how do you feel when you look at Villa's lineup compared to City's lineup, and even the bench as well? Because Alex Moreno, Musa Diaby, Jacob Ramsey, Matty Cash, Longley, Zaniolo. I mean, that's pretty stacked.
And Donker as well. Yeah, no, Aston Villa they're a good team, and I've said it at the start of the season. Aston Villa are a serious club. They've got owners who are investing, and it's just a case for them. The only thing that's hindered Aston Villa is they haven't got Champions League. If they got Champions League, because they're a huge club, Aston Villa are a huge club. If you know football, you know they're a huge club. They've just been a sleeping giant for a very long time, since 1981. I think it was the last time they won the league, and won a European Cup actually as well. So yeah, they're very much there. They've got the owners now who care. The fans are always passionate. Villa fans are always passionate. So they've got that. They now Unai Emery seemed to have gelled them, which he didn't do at Arsenal. But I think that could also be a bit down to a bit of a toxic locker room. He lost the players, which then lost us. So there's a bit of a mix up there. But when I look at Aston Villa's team, that's solid. They may be missing a couple of players to genuinely be challengers. They're missing maybe like realistically you need John McGinn. You need a new replacement for John McGinn. Leon Bailey's class. I mean, Diaby, who is a starter, but he was just currently on an injury. He might get benched now because Leon Bailey's performance was sensational. Sensational. He reminded me of an old school trickster footballer. Whereas nowadays I feel like in the modern game it's all tactical passing. Don't take flair. Don't take risks. Minimize the risks. Leon Bailey was having fun. He looked like a kid in a playground playing with his fellow mates and just trying to trick them and skill them. And, just like, when you had that like one guy in your friendship group who was just better than you, like when it came to football, and he would just spank you every time. So he was just acting like that. They've got a solid goalkeeper. Pau Torres is, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, he's the most progressive defender in European football right now, in terms of carries and going forward. Konza was dominant. He's physical. Digne's got a unreal delivery on him. They're a dangerous team. They're a very, very dangerous team, and they're well stacked. They maybe don't have the depth, I would say, in terms of quality that we do, but they're very much up there. They you've got to take them seriously. They are very much a top 5 team.
We should probably caveat the City result with just how brilliant everyone was on the day, and I think that's a very important thing to point out. Every single ball, every single touch, every pass, every movement was perfect.
Mhm.
And that rarely ever happens. Like, as you said, Leon Bailey he had the game of his life. John McGinn, really, really powerful, really dominant, really energetic. Digne, the amount of balls that he put into the box, all of them pretty much perfectly placed and really dangerous. Pau Torres, every time Villa went forward, he's always on the edge of the box, always looking to retrieve and recycle the ball. The only player who was a little bit, I guess maybe you could say, fizzled out as the game went on was Watkins, which is surprising. Yeah. I don't know about you, but I felt like he just went a little bit missing. But that was okay because everyone else was kind of picking up the slack and just.
I don't know how he didn't score.
Yeah, and he had that really glorious opportunity. So look, I think if we're to take confidence going into the weekend, it's knowing that this was probably the best performance that they've had all season. Having said that, we should probably look at the last 5 results in the Premier League, putting aside the Conference League. So they beat City 1-0, drew to Bournemouth 2-2. Away, yes. Beat Fulham 3-1 at home. Beat Spurs 2-1 away. That's a massive result, and we saw how that game went. Really interesting game of football. And then they lost to Nottingham Forest 2-0 away. So their home record is really, really good. They're currently 3rd in the Premier League. Here we are. 3rd in the Premier League, 5 points away, right? No, 4 points away from us.
4 points.
4 points off. So they're going to treat this game as a massive opportunity
100%.
to close the gap. They won't be thinking about, anything crazy like taking over that first place.
It's a litmus test for them, though.
Yeah, exactly. But this will be a test. Now, the question I ask you, that I want to ask you is, do you think, having played City the way that they did, the performance that they put in, and the amount of energy that they used, do you think that they're going to be feeling a little bit, not necessarily burnt out, but physically they'll be maybe a little bit more drained as opposed to when they were playing City?
Well, we've had an extra day rest, so that does make a difference. It does make a difference, especially in the latter stages of the game. But when you've got the home fans like they are still going to come out 110% in those first 20 minutes. And we saw it against City, and I thought, the way that I thought the game was going to go, I always thought Villa were going to win, but I did think if they don't take their chances, City will punish them, but they just never did. They never won that midfield battle. So maybe it does play into the game towards the end. I don't think it's going to matter the first sort of 70 minutes. I mean, these are professional footballers who who train every day. The fitness levels are at the peak as they can be. So I don't think it's going to rely to it. It's more those latter stages, and that's when the bench is really going to come in handy, depending on where the game sits and how they behind, how far are we in behind. It all comes down to that. So yeah, there is a part of it to play because it was a very intense game. It was non-stop. They're barely the balls never really seemed to go out of play. I mean, the added time was what 3-4 minutes on both halves. It was really, 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 really just a high tempo back and forth. So I think maybe the towards the end is the issue for them. But they've got the bench. They've got DRB now back relatively at full fitness now. They've got a few players back. And it's just going to come down to who wants that game more. And for them, it's a litmus test. I mean, I know I saw Leon Bailey in the post-match talk. He was saying, we're not getting ahead of ourselves. We're taking it day by game, which is what everyone does. It's the template that everyone keeps saying. But for them, of course, they're going to want to take it. If they beat us, they are within a point of the top, barring if Liverpool don't win their game. But of course it is. I mean, for us, it's a test as well. Like if we beat Villa, our confidence is going to be sky high. If we take them off their perch, beat their 14-game win streak, go there and win when City couldn't. Do you know what I mean? It's going to look good for us. But if they win as well, there's going to be some genuine conversations, because if you're going to be champions or top four, your home record has to be outstanding. It just has to be. It just has to be. You can't be successful in a league, or in any league. It doesn't matter where you are if your home record isn't outstanding. Like your home needs to be a fortress, and the difference from becoming a champion and top four is making that away record count. So for them, they've got a few things to worry about away, but the home record is outstanding. So we need to knock them off their perch. We need to. It's as simple as that. Because if we don't, it could derail us. It could derail us, especially with a very tight schedule coming up.
Okay, well, let's turn our attentions over to Arsenal then, and what we need to do in order to beat them. We've spoken about a few key individuals, like depending on whether he starts Moussa Diaby, Leon Bailey, Luca Digne, as well as others. You know, Watkins could come back and perform outstandingly. You might get Tielemans as well. Playing a really crucial role in supporting those players up top. So let's have a look at Arsenal's first and foremost their last game against Luton, how we set up, and then maybe we can have a look at the next few fixtures, because look, it doesn't get easier. Very, very difficult run that we've got now, with Villa away, Brighton at home, Liverpool away, West Ham at home, and Fulham away before the start of
the winter
year.
break.
So big group of fixtures coming up at Luton. Not the most convincing performance, but having said that, we do need to give credit to Luton, who pulled out a really, really good performance to match the tempo and the energy. This is how we set up, Monty. How do you think we set up against Villa, with also the final Champions League game in mind?
Yeah, I think. To be honest, I think the lineup you're pretty much seeing there will be not far from. Well, I mean, maybe the midfield will be slightly different for the Champions League game, but I think for the Aston Villa game, we're going to see probably Zinchenko in on the left over Yakin Kivior, because we're going to need that creativity to unlock them. I can see the front six being the exact same. We're definitely going to need Havertz over Trossard. As much as I love Trossard, we're going to need Havertz. We need that verticality. We need to be able to dominate in the box, because Villa are a physical team, and they're really strong. So we need to have that height to match them.
Just quickly on that, don't you think though it'll be better for us to have a midfield stacked with energy and with lots of movement, because as good as Havertz has been in that position in the last few performances, he does lack that urgency. He does lack that kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Proactiveness
You
to,
say that his pressures off the ball are pretty good, but I do get you in terms of Trossard. He's a lot trickier just in general. Like,
chaotic, right?
yeah, he's what could you use? He's the bringer of chaos. He's literally just comes across. He gets in between the lines. He's very difficult. He 1 minute he's there, the next minute he's right in front of your face, and you're like, what? Where have you come from? And then he picks up 50-50 balls, and he's really good for those moments, and he can be used for a more open team. It depends how Aston Villa set up. If Aston Villa play us like they play City, then potentially Trossard is a better fit because he can get into those lines. But if we start to take hold of the game and they start sitting back and they realise that they need to sit back because Rice is just sweeping up everything, then it might be time to bring Havertz on. Just because we need that ball. If we can get the crosses in, we need someone to get on the end of it. Trossard is saying that he has actually scored 2 headers this season, so he does somehow manage to do it. But it honestly, with both of them, I'm happy with either. If Havertz comes in or Trossard comes in, I'm actually happy with both. They both can do jobs. They're both very different players, and it allows us to do different things. Looking at that lineup, though, I think the only big change we'd see is potentially Kivior for Zinchenko. That's all I can see because unfortunately, obviously, Tomiyasu's out, which I would have loved to have seen him play. Because he would have been great up against Moussa Diaby.
Raya definitely keeps his place.
He's gonna. I mean, I want Ramsdale to start, but it's clear Arteta has his favourite, so he's going to keep his place, isn't he?
Yeah, I think you're right. Well, time will tell. We're only, I guess, a night's sleep away before the big one. Kickoff is at 5:30, so we will be under the lights, and it's going to be a big one. It promises to hopefully have a lot of exciting football drama, but not too much. We want to try and get out of that game as safely as possible with 3 points. Finally, before we end the show, Monty, do you want to give us your score prediction?
Okay, well, on my Super 6, I put us down to win 2-1. So I'm going to go 2-1, and I think the game will go, we will score first, Villa equalise, and then we score late, like post 75. That's just how I think it goes. What about you?
I'm feeling a little bit more optimistic, and just based on just solely based on previous case studies of how teams play or what happens, what the outcome is when teams play against us, when they bring the game to us. We're so good, and we often tend to favor atmospheres and environments where teams want to match our energy and play high pressing football. Putting that Luton game aside, because I don't think we were as sharp and as bright, and they were physically a little bit more aggressive.
I don't even think that Luton game was bad,
Yeah, no, it wasn't. It wasn't. But it wasn't
bad.
It wasn't amazing. And here's what I think will happen against Villa. I think you will see the best version of us, because this game it's not.
Why is it?
It's not City. It's not a Liverpool, but it's a Villa game. So it's an opposition who mentally will be prepared to, get the best out of us. There won't be any reluctancy, or there won't be any nerves per se that you would maybe have if you're playing a big game like Anfield or against City.
Our record against Villa is incredible.
Yeah, and we'll be really up for it. We'll be up for the challenge, and we'll welcome the hopefully the best version of Villa. And so I think we win this 3-1.
3-1.
Yeah, hopefully.
If you think gets on the score sheet,
I think Jesus gets another one. I think Odegaard will get one, and I'm gonna put it out there. No, do you know what? I'm gonna go for an unusual, unfamiliar player to appear on the score sheet, and that's Zinchenko. So yeah, I don't know. Nice. I just see some magic happening down that left-hand side.
You slept last night and you had these visions with a top flight screamer.
Who knows? Mm-hmm. But yeah, only time will tell. So look, I'm going to end it there. I want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's watched up until this point. Thank you very, very much. If you did enjoy this video, please do give us a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe to the channel, and also check out the post-match podcast, which we will be recording after the game, which should be out on a Monday. So please look out for that. Hopefully Arsenal get the job done over Villa and extend our lead at the top. And then attention is over to the Champions League for the final game of the group stages. So until then, we'll speak to you soon. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.